very good meeting. Oh, by the way. All right, a quorum being present, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for March.
No, it is not.
I would say the alcohol.
Go ahead, Mrs.
Our first item of business is actually to recognize our Mamba Outstanding Student this year. And if Aviana Gregoire can come on up, I'll introduce her to you all. She has just run in from the tennis match that she won. Come on down here, Aviana. Right? Aviana is the daughter of Matthew Gregoire and is an exceptional student in the Health Careers program. She's high honors, who has earned a 4.4 GPA. She is the Secretary of Student Council, as well as member of National Honor Society. She's been a member of the ski club, the volleyball team, and the tennis team, as well as Project 351 and Skills USA. Aviana is passionate about the medical field and has been accepted to the Physician's Assistant programs at Springfield College and Wagner College, and we are anxious to hear where you decide, when you decide. All right. She's already had the lovely banquet that they have at Mechanics Hall, where she's now getting the certificate again because she received it then, in recognition of being named the 2024 Outstanding Vocational Student of Tantasqua Regional based on academic and vocational excellence. Congratulations. There you go. More congratulations on the win.
And ladies.
Now go in. Let's get rid of those.
Thank you.
Go have dinner.
I don't have eyes behind me.
Now you can take
All
over,
right.
Mr.
Now,
Chair.
I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of March 19th, 2024 as presented.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mrs. Rose Miller, seconded by Mrs. Randall. Are there any edits? Mrs. Goodwin? Oh, not yet. I'll catch you in a minute. Any edits? Any discussion? Seeing none, the chair will call for a vote. Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Mrs. Goodwin. Motion carries. Brings us to our financial report. Chair recognizes Mrs. Leo.
Finances are moving along as we would expect them. We are meeting with each of the towns to review budgets. I'm just getting to my page, I apologize. As you can see, our expenditures and monies received are now aligning a little bit more with previous years. And I don't have much more to say. Are there any questions on any specific line items?
Questions on the financial report? All right, thank you, Mrs. Leo. Brings us to our student reports. Good evening, Luke.
Good evening. All right, I'd first like to hit on health careers. Students are finishing up at Harrington Hospital this Friday. Sadly, Friday's our last day, but it's been a good run there. They're taking the Massachusetts take-home health aid test to become certified there. 20 people walked in the Relay for Life for Health Careers team and raised $1,500, which was their goal. They just finished up a nervous system unit and took the test on it, which was pretty hard, but it was good. Juniors are working on the skills labs, getting ready for the big senior year ahead of them, and they're also taking the midterm finals very soon. Sophomores are a hard chain of infection test tomorrow, and they're doing escape room assignment to help their understandings. And the freshmen are working good at learning about the health careers function and what the purpose is, plus how to get and help out the community. CAD students are participating in the Mass Department of Transportation Digital Billboard Design Contest. And carpentry, the kids are the last part of their house project installing windows, PVC trim works, and doors. They're also installing insulated floors in the structures with wool insulation. And the juniors and the rest of the classes are working in the skill shops to get ready for their big projects coming senior year. In electrical, seniors are finishing their curriculum with the Phase 3 motors. Juniors are working on the hands-on class, learning new ways on how to write and communicate with other people. And they're also finishing on how to finishing on introduction on transformers. And the freshmen are starting very strong in the low voltage projects, which they're doing really good on. In IT, the juniors are continuing their work and learning their pro network certifications. They're currently learning more about the network segmentations, performances, security via configurations on virtual LANs. Seniors continue to receive and work to resolve trouble tickets in the help desk portal and for personal computer repair issues. They also learn their certification on the Security Pro and Ethics Hacking certifications. And the freshmen and sophomore students are learning about computer hardware and network cable and connections. In hospitality, the freshmen engaging on creation of breakfast menus, initializing exploration in foods and beverages selections and hospitality management. Sophomores participating in collaborating breakfast services, training with culinary arts, and embracing their skills for managing and upcoming operations of the Cornerstone Cafe in the next academic year. The juniors and seniors have successfully overseen the management of the Cornerstone Cafe this current year, which have also been dignity serving the local senior centers on a weekly basis. Culinary, they've hosted a nice breakfast buffet for the monthly administration meeting. The department has made take-home meals for 40 guests that came to the Sturbridge Senior Center. In business, the freshmen are working on the Business U learning and basic fundamentals of business. Sophomores are taking their test-out practice tests to get their certification in Microsoft Office. The juniors are marketing in Business U, and the seniors are working on entrepreneurships in Business U. And finally, in machine shop, the seniors have been working on taking apart and fixing Pratt and Whitney lathe, which is one of the antique lathes in the machine shop. Freshmen are getting familiar with all the machines inside the shop, and then the sophomores are finishing up their first projects, moving on to other machines.
Luke, is Business U the name of the class?
That is the name of the class, yep.
Okay. What does the U stand for?
Business U for business.
University?
We'll go with it.
No, it is, it really is.
Any other questions for Luke?
There's a lot of, in case you haven't noticed, a lot of letters in education, so you have to think about it for a second.
Any other questions for Luke? Luke, any questions for us?
Nope.
Great report, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we move to staff reports, just by unanimous consent, I just want for the record to state that when the motion was made and seconded and I called for the vote on the approval of the minutes, that was inclusive of the public hearing minutes. Are there any objections to that? I will let the record reflect that. All right, at this time, we will move to staff reports. Dr. Dufresne, you've been pretty popular the last couple of weeks. Let's start with you.
Not always, and sometimes that's not an advantage. A lot of things, as usual, we're wrapping up. We're hurtling towards the end of the year at the high school. We are trying to finish well, and as we start to plan out all those end of the year events. Our department spotlight this month was science. I'll just highlight a few things. Our botany and zoology's continued partnership with Amherst College's Citizen Science Project led to Tantasqua students and some faculty contributing to a research article. We're pretty proud of that. The team worked on reviewing responses from the past few years around the engagement of K-12 students in science. Conservation is starting to bloom. We've got some greenhouse vegetables and flowers coming in. We'll be transferring those to the courtyard shortly. Our aviation students started to use their flight simulators and visited the New England Air Museum for a history of military aviation trip, which was successfully and very popular amongst our students. Our sort of high-powered student council, once again, busy month. They passed out 1,000 friendship bracelets this month, and in advance of our spring fling, light up the night neon-themed dance. I know Mr. Wood and I enjoyed some neon-themed attire. We had 400 and something students, over 400 students in attendance. It was a great dance, not a single incident. We're very proud of our student council. Our National Honor Society book drive that started in February has now collected enough books to offer a little free library at each elementary school in the district. We're pretty excited about that. In performing arts, congratulations to both our chorus and our band. We had our all-region band concert, and we have coming up our Little Shop of Horrors musical in the first week of May. Our Tantasqua Music Association, really grateful to them. They hosted their first annual meat raffle at the Sturbridge Host, which is pretty fantastic as well. Sports are underway. Spring sports always a little dicey with the weather, and I'm learning more about tennis courts this month than I had originally ever intended to. And on sort of the faculty side, we are preparing for our NEAS visit. We'll start that work after the schedule is done shortly. I'm on an accreditation team for Dennis Yarmouth so that I can sort of see how a regional's done. We're up in 2027, which sounds far away, but it's not. So we're going to start digging into that at Monday's faculty meeting. I'm sure everyone's going to be thrilled to hear. And that is, once again, not all that is happening, but more than you want to know about Tantasqua.
Questions for Dr. Dufresne? Looking forward to next month's report on what I heard was a very successful tape fundraiser. And I'm curious if you're still sticky.
I have just been told that there's some photos popping around the faculty room, so I'm sure they'll pop up. I did neglect to mention
They're falling in everyone's inbox as we speak.
the Relay for Life. We had some questionable anonymous donors to the Relay for Life tape me to the wall fundraiser, and it was about 15 pounds of tape. One student bought an entire roll, so I'm not sure that's a good or a bad thing. But Relay for Life, for $55, they raised a small fortune, and it was a terrific night. I was really happy to be a small part of it. Stay small, sticky part.
Mr. Sturgis,
Well, it's tough to top that one, but
when's your tape fundraiser?
we did have a tape fundraiser there, except we threw up Sir Nick up on the wall because I don't know if there's enough tape in the world to hold me up on the wall. We did have that as part of our color run. I did share in this document just a list of our color run, kind of the rewards we did. So we had a month of March where every day was a giveaway for. We just gave away different prizes throughout the month: lunches, hat days, homework. There's mostly there's individual kid prizes for students who donated a certain amount of money. Our families did not, the student themselves. There's also prizes for teams, things so all kids were included. So I left a list in there if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them on the actual prizes. But I did just want to share that because there's a bunch of businesses in town who donated. And I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of those businesses because many of these donate to all of our stuff, and it's really nice. Like I feel like I need to do better, making sure they're not recognized for doing so. We actually have a big lunch tomorrow for about 18 to 20 kids who donated a certain amount of money, which was a significant amount. There was a free lunch provided by BT, Smokehouse, Empire Village, McNucks, and Villa Sofia combined. So a lot of good food coming in for just as a donation. So I just want to make sure to recognize these businesses in town who regularly support us. And so we're very happy to have the support of the community. It appears as my write-up on the drama club was left out, but we did have our first play without Mrs. Belial in 20 years, and it went actually really well. Not to sound surprised that Mr. La Rochelle took it on, couldn't handle it, but the kids did a great job. Cast was about 8 to 10 kids, or probably 10 to 12 now, if you, a few kids had a few small parts, with about 8 to 10 kids behind the scenes. The first play went off a few hitches, but the first night of the double night play is always the nervous one. And then unfortunately for those kids, the second night was actually a snow day in April, which it took some scheduling nightmares to make work out with the busy spring schedule, but we did get the kids a second performance after April break, and they were very appreciative because they put a lot of work in to get those 2 nights for them. You always know when it's spring, Chestnut Tree Club is out active And when they're not after school, it's the science classes are out there during the day. I love seeing the science classes outside of the classroom, doing different hands-on learning. Our Peer Connections group is actually now, today was the second one they ran where the kids led extended advisory lessons. Today was around just the differences of people and their likes. They did an activity where students led. There's 28 students involved, so we didn't make them do solo performances because some 7th graders would not stand in front of a class of 8th graders, and they just talked about just various differences in their likes. So some kids like sports, some kids like books. Just a simple topic like that, just to get kids talking about understanding people's differences. And then we did have, as part of the Color Run, a big school-wide event right before April vacation. It was a school-wide volleyball tournament. It was open to all students who wanted to participate. And then it was a bloodbath of competition that led to at least one team of victors. But it was a good time had by all, music playing, it's middle school still, so we do have the fun school assemblies on the days before breaks. And band and chorus concerts are upcoming in May, for anyone who's interested, and I think I checked all the boxes of what I wanted to mention. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions for Mr. Sturgis? Thank you, Mr. Sturgis. Mr. Wood?
I will be brief.
Is that an implication that your peers were not?
I'm not saying anything. Just an update on skills, and I'll give you a written report next. So we sent 11 kids. We actually looked for 13, but we ordered a robot part for one of the competitions that came to us defective, so those kids couldn't compete. So that was kind of upsetting for those 2 kids. But I thought it was impressive. We sent 11 kids in 9 competitions, and we came back with 4 gold medals in 3 of the 9 competitions, which is pretty darn impressive. So my previous school, I would have sent 80 kids. Some of the vocational schools send 100 kids. So if you think that we sent 11 kids and came back with 4 gold medals, that's pretty impressive. So kudos to the kids, their teachers, to Mr. Bernard, Ms. Espinosa, and Mr. Lamoth, who all work with Skills USA to prep the kids for those events. Interestingly, 2 of the kids are going on to nationals. One is Dominic Perot, and he is going on in industrial motor controls. Of all the kids who competed in that category, his is the only project that worked, which is pretty impressive. Unfortunately, Abigail Gumlaw, who took gold, will not be going to nationals. I did offer to switch places with her because she will be in Barcelona at that time. She said no, whatever. But I think it's amazing that this is the 2nd year in a row that we took that category job interview for gold at the States. The other 2 kids who took gold, we're still working to find out if they actually qualify for nationals because it's a new contest, so not all states have it. So it might not be on the national stage at this particular point, but we're gonna check. The other thing I want to talk about in tech is giving back to the community. So in the report, you see Health Careers came here to the junior high for the hands-only CPR to help out with that. The CAD kids, again, they did the library with the 2 holes for their mini golf fundraiser. Culinary, as Luke told you, they're either giving food, supporting food to the senior center during the month while they're under renovation, or the seniors are coming to us once a month. So that's kind of cool. Electrical, it's a full report. Carpentry is doing raised beds for the Sturbridge Community Garden, and also the OSB roof. And IT does repair for community computers, and also does all of the help desk. So I think that's pretty impressive that the kids are giving back to the community, and I think that's incredibly important. You support us, and it's important that they support that. And last month I did tell you we did get a Haas grant, but I did not know the how much it was going to be. We did get the check the other day, and it was $20,000. So we know that $5,000 that will be allocated next year for 2 $2,500 scholarships for kids in manufacturing, and then the teachers will determine how they want to spend the balance.
Mark, do you have a proposal on that grant for us to accept?
If you so be it, yes.
I think we do have to.
Yep,
we have
so
to-
this is the Gene Haas Foundation grant. We've been fortunate to receive it, I think, for the last 4 or 5 years, different increments, whatever they are. What I love about this grant is it's open for the teachers to determine how they want to spend it. The only thing they cannot spend it on in the grant is anything that is a Haas product. So they're not looking to benefit themselves, which I think is an amazing in this world. That's phenomenal, so yes,
So
thank
I'll
you.
entertain a motion to accept the grant as outlined by Mr. Wood. Motion by Mr. Haggerty, seconded by Mrs. Randall. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? By unanimous consent, the motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, that'll bring us to, are there any questions for Mr. Wood? I apologize.
Under his report, we've got, first we have the old, which
Oh.
the chair did approve because Skills USA was before this meeting.
Very good.
But to have the full committee vote to allow for the state competition.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion for ratification of the chair's prior decision to approve the Skills USA state competition trip. Motion's been made by Mrs. Panic, seconded by Mr. Goodwin. Any discussion? Any objection? By unanimous consent, motion carries.
And then, Mr. Wood, you referred to nationals. Do we know when and where?
That's in June, so there's time to get all that. I don't have any of the particulars from,
Okay.
from Skills USA Mass
So on the-
on what the cost
We'll
are.
The
approve
May
that in May.
29th meeting?
Yes, well, I'll have that
You
for
remember,
you.
we're meeting late in May.
It's not till June.
It's a June trip, so it'll be fine.
We're good.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
All right, very good. We'll move to committee reports. There is no budget, there was no technical curriculum. Mrs. Cunningham.
Yeah, we met last night, but I have not had a chance to put together a report, so I will report on that this meeting.
Very good.
Okay.
Brings us to bylaw and policy. I know Mrs. Fitzgerald is not here. Jody, are you prepared to?
Yep, we had no meeting due to the snowstorm in April, so our next meeting is Thursday. And what you see on the agenda is a replication of what was last meeting, so we're
Just
just
the
looking
unfinished
at,
business, so there's no new business.
no new business, just looking for the votes as stated.
All right, so we'll tackle that in a minute. Negotiations, Mrs. Randall, do you want to update that in executive? Okay, and then building and physical plant, Mr. Dunn, I believe you're issuing the report.
Yeah, we met with Dr. Dufresne and Ms. Leo before the meeting tonight to talk about community use of the pool. What we came up with was a proposal to have Dr. Dufresne put together a job description for what the role would be for somebody to help manage pool access and oversee that program, and to work with the athletic director to talk about what might be a potential schedule for access to the pool, working around things like sports schedules and when we have custodial support in the building already, to avoid incurring additional expenses on top of that. Ms. Leo is going to also look into the other stipends for athletic-related roles at the school to come back so that we can form a more solid opinion for what we might be able to do to bring to the committee.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the superintendent's report. Mrs. Boyd.
Okay, just, I think a few general updates around the region and beyond, piggybacking on a lot of other things. So Kristen did mention the budget. I think we're gonna be fine. Our towns will, all I'm hearing is gonna support Tantasqua. I've got one town left that I need to hear on the elementary end. So, looks like we're gonna be good with the budget that we presented at the public hearing. The state's still working through their process, if anyone has paid attention or not. It's gone through the House. House had amendments, now it's moving on to Senate. My only disappointment was that from the governor's budget to the House, the rural aid pool of dollars was chopped in half. So again, fortunately, we have not counted on rural aid for a number of years, but when we find out, when we get it in October, we're constantly talking about things and capital items. And I have been advocating to our legislators that we really need that to be part of the budget process so that we could know by May or June and be able to do things other than our capital items, because there are some things. There are some other staffing needs. There's a number of programs we'd like to be talking about that we have not been the last year or two, because we wanna make sure we get off the ESSER cliff, which is great. We're getting off of it without any huge issues, unlike a lot of communities around us. But that's just my rural age plug. I continue to talk to the legislators. Our senators are well aware of my advocacy for rural aid, A, to be funded to the full amount, and B, to get us the calculations as part of this budget process instead of waiting to find out. So that's kind of the hill, so to speak, that I'm willing to die on these days. But the House did increase the minimum per student amount that was at $30 is up to $104. That helps 3 of my 6 districts that were at minimum, so there's certainly movement in the right direction. What else? TED Brunch is Sunday for anyone interested. For the first time in many years, I cannot attend, so if any of you can support us and be there, that would be great. Ted has been a great supporter. There will be, we don't meet until the 29th, I think it is, so I'm letting folks know. There will be a Heritage Homecoming event at the high school on the 23rd, 5:30 to 7:30. And I pass on around this flyer for anyone interested, but Colleen certainly asked me to share. Join us for a fun-filled night celebrating the many heritages represented in Brimfield, Brookfield, Holland, Sturbridge, Wales, North Brookfield, and Palmer. So this is an event that is going to be funded, small funds, by Title III monies, where we've had conversations the last couple of years and haven't qualified for Title III. This year, we got in on a cohort with North Brookfield and Palmer, which allowed us to qualify and get some. So that's an event that should be hopefully a good time. And next year, it's looking like we will qualify on our own for Title III funds. So something to come. Reminder, your meeting in May is on a Wednesday, and it is the joint meeting and your meeting is on Wednesday, the 29th of May. One more reminder. Rural Aid Heritage. Last day of school, I think it is now safe to say, apparently on April 1st it wasn't safe to say, is June 17th. Graduation is June 1st. We will be able to remind you on the 29th, but those who like to plan to serve pizza, the pizza serving will be on the 31st, Friday the 31st. Class night on the 30th, correct, Dr. Dufresne?
Yes.
Okay, and any of you interested in attending graduation, it's a little early right now, but let me know. Every school committee member has typically gotten 2 tickets to attend graduation. He will get me some tickets and I'm happy to get them to you. I think that's it.
And one other thing, you'll be getting an email communication from me in the next couple of weeks regarding Mrs. Boyd's evaluation. And so at our joint meeting at the end of May, we will do the annual readout on the summary of your responses to the evaluation, as well as her proposed goals for the next fiscal year. All right, with that, we've got one item under communication, a very nice thank you note to Mr. Mansfield from the chair of the Brimfield Board of Selectmen, Mr. Kelly. Great continued work by our vocational students, so it's nice to see. And then that brings us to unfinished business, as Mrs. Barassa outlined. So I don't need a motion because it's a recommendation of the Bylaw and Policy Subcommittee to bring to the floor approval for either new or amend or rescind on second reading policies EFD through EFA as outlined on your agenda. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Seeing none, then by unanimous consent, the motion carries. Let's see.
So now we're gonna go a
I'm gonna
little.
pull up public access.
That's exactly what I
Okay,
would have
so
suggested.
If there's no objection, I'm gonna pull up public access before we go into executive session. We will go into executive session to discuss the Unit B contract. We will come out of executive session to vote it. Okay? But let me take public access. Tracy, Michelle,
You're just here
how are
late
you?
tonight.
Nice to see you all.
Good to see
No
you.
issues over here.
Great.
No questions, no thoughts.
Good to hear. All right, that will bring us back up. But before we go into executive session, I would just like to hopefully entertain by unanimous consent that tomorrow we will deem it Superintendent Boyd Day, as it is her birthday.
Dear God.
I see no objections. I've gotten in trouble with saying the age, so I don't do that anymore.
Does that mean she gets a day off? No, I have a wheel.
She's got a lot, she's got a big
Not
day
telling me
tomorrow.
they're wheel
She's got a
school.
big day tomorrow, but happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, subsection 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. The body will return to open session merely for the purposes of ratification. Do I have that motion?
Yes.
Mr. Haggerty has made the motion. It's been seconded by Mr. Goodwin. Requires a roll call vote. Valenzola, yes.
No smelling, yes.
Yes, Haggerty.
Randall, yes.
Alden, yes.
Goodwin, yes.
Goodwin, yes. Sorry. Leroy King, yes. Koval, yes. Koenig, yes.
Elizabeth, yes.
Cunningham, yes.
Done, yes.
All right, we will convene into executive session. All right, after a brief executive session, reviewing the Unit B Memorandum of Understanding, we will now come back into open session. At this time, it is the recommendation of the negotiation subcommittee to approve this proposal as presented, so that motion goes to the floor. It doesn't require a second. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none then, the motion to ratify and authorize the chair to sign the Unit B contract. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Mrs. Alvin, seconded by Mr. Goodwin. All those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Wonderful.
I know, 7 minutes.